in the campaign. We need someone who's going to make Barack Obama the issue in this campaign. If you join me in doing your part, go out today, go vote, early voting. If you haven't voted, go out and vote. Go get your friends and neighbors. Get on those Facebook pages. This race is just started. It is not. This race has just started. It's a three-man race. We're going to be in this race for the long term. We're going to be in this race. We're going to fight. We're going to stand up for the values and principles that made this country great. We're going to stand on our record. We're going to stand on both our personal and professional record. And we are going to make Barack Obama the issue. And when we do, we're going to win this election in the fall. Thank you. Thank you. We have microphones, places if you can come up if you want to ask questions on either side, and please come up and feel free to ask a question or two. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Senator.
Well, good morning.
I wasn't sure who I was going to vote for until this morning.
Well, thank you.
I would like to give a suggestion to everyone here. You know these great Rick Santorum signs? When you park your car, put them as the sunshade in your car. Get everybody in the world to see it.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to see done, Senator, I would like to see a comment made to the leftist media. When they ask you a so slanted question, the response should be, please, I will be glad to answer that as soon as you ask the President the same question.
Yeah. Thank you. You hear that, guys? That's coming. Go ahead.
Senator Santorum, it was a pleasure hearing you speak. If you get elected president, I have no doubt what you'll be fighting for. You talked a lot about manufacturing, and I think that's an important thing. However, I mean, when you put a 0% tax rate, I think it buys us some time because China really does not play by the rules when it comes to trade. And it allows our manufacturers and steel makers in Pennsylvania to compete and to sell our steel that's made here by American workers. But there's another aspect to that. As you mentioned Apple as well, I'm a shareholder, I own it, my clients own it, great, well-run company. Well, Apple makes all of the 37 million iPhones that they sold in the last 3 months and the 15 million iPads that they sold. A lot of it's made not in America.
All of it.
Well, yeah, pretty much all of it. They still employ 30,000 Americans. But I think going forward, if we want manufacturing jobs to be brought back to America, there's got to be a step up. That in the past, you have blue-collar workers, and they've got a high school education, they're working very hard. If you have that work ethic, but you combine that with the knowledge of running a multinational company, I think not enough Americans today are being prepared to work in those types of environments where you're working, you're manufacturing, but you also have the knowledge and the expertise to create efficiencies, so it makes financial sense for companies to bring factories back to the United States so that we can produce more of the things we buy here in America. So
okay.
What are your, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what are your plans to encourage universities and people in general not only to get into manufacturing, but to take that next step up and combine that with a solid education and understanding on how global economies work and how multinational companies work?
That's a great question, and you know, one of the things that we realize that when it comes to manufacturing jobs, yes, you employ a lot of blue-collar workers, people who will be out there on the line manufacturing, but you're also going to employ a lot of process engineers, people who are working to make those facilities operate efficiently, as well as that's already being done, which is the design engineers and the other folks. So you need a level of expertise. So you're not just employing blue-collar workers, and this is a big issue. One of the things that Apple talked about was the shortage of folks who are getting those kinds of hard science degrees to be able to come in and be able to do these white-collar jobs. And so, you know, we've seen a lot of emphasis on math and science, and I, you know, strongly agree with that, that we need to orient more folks into the harder sciences. But one of the things that we need to do is create an atmosphere in this country where people know that getting into those areas is going to be an area where you're going to achieve and have a lot of success, and in fact encourage through a whole variety of things. I mean, businesses do this, which is, you know, have scholarships available for people within their own companies, be able to go out and work. To me, the bigger issue here is, yes, math and science is important. You know, having trained to be able to do the manufacturing jobs, which are higher skill and therefore, as a result, higher paying. The biggest thing we can do, I really believe, in preparing these workers, preparing workers to take on this responsibility, is to have an education system that provides a well-rounded education for everybody in America. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about the focus of the education system in America is on one thing. Look at No Child Left Behind, you look at all of the state programs, they're focused on one thing in our public schools, and that's academics. Now, some of you are employers or have been employers. If you're going to go out and hire somebody, even if you're just going to hire someone to do some work at your house, are you going to look at their grade point average? Are you going to look at their virtue, their character, their hard work? All the things that you want to see in a good person is what you want to see in your employee. I can't tell you the number of businesses I talk to who say, look, you give me someone who works hard, who's honest, who's trustworthy, who has integrity. I'll teach them. I'll train them to do the work that we need to do. You just give me that solid foundation on which to build upon. And what does that go back to, folks? Families. You're not going to have a workforce that's going to be successful if the workforce is not honest, hardworking, trustworthy, etc. America's not going to succeed. We're not going to be able to employ people if people don't show up to work or don't take their job seriously, or a whole host of other things. And yet we have an education system that doesn't focus on any of the things that parents most care about when it comes to their children being raised. We have an education system that just focuses on this little narrow thing. That's why I believe not only should we repeal No Child Left Behind and get the federal government out of the education business, but I'll go one step further. We got to get the state government out of the education business more than they are right now. We need to design an education system that is focused and trusting. Again, who are we as conservatives? Who was the George Washington heirs? Believing in the bottom-up approach to solving problems. We have a problem in the education system. Why do we always look to Tallahassee and Washington to solve that problem? We need to empower the customer of the education system to get the product that they want. The customer is the parent, and the product is a child educated in a way conformity with the values of the parents. If you want to change the dynamic that teachers are so frustrated with the paperwork and the regulations and the problems having to deal with kids coming to school not learning and not wanting to learn, you want to help teachers, the best way to do it is to give the power back in the hands at the local level where parents and teachers and folks here can work together to mold a customized education for every child in America, consistent with the values of those parents. You do that. You do that, we will create a better, healthier child and citizen. And while we may or may not get more math and engineering folks, we'll get folks who will be able to go on at later in life and get the training they need to get the jobs that are going to be necessary to keep this country growing.